A few videos back, I promised to make a video about how to install and use ESPHome for Home Assistant. So today, that's what I'm going to do. For those of you that are not familiar, ESPHome is an app that allows you to easily connect an ESP32 to Home Assistant, making your ESP32 into a connected smart device that you can easily automate. If you want to follow along, here's what you're going to need. One, an ESP32. Any type will do. I've added a link to a pretty inexpensive one on Amazon if you're in the market. Two, you're going to need Home Assistant. I'm going to assume for this walkthrough that you already have Home Assistant installed somewhere. If you don't, there's a link in the description containing a basic tutorial on ways to install Home Assistant. All right, so let's get started. ESPHome really consists of two components in order to make it work properly. The first is the ESPHome dashboard, and the second is the ESPHome code that gets flashed to your ESP32. The first step to getting going is to install the dashboard, and depending on how you've set up your copy of Home Assistant, there's two ways you may need to install the ESPHome dashboard. If you're like me and you installed Home Assistant using containers and not by installing Home Assistant OS or purchasing something like Home Assistant Yellow, you'll unfortunately need to install ESPHome manually. Now, I'm not going to cover this process in a ton of detail since most people install ESPHome the easier way using Home Assistant OS. But there is a link in the description of my configuration and the container I use so you can install it yourself. Now, for most of you that probably have Home Assistant OS or Home Assistant with Supervisor, just click this link in the ESPHome website to install ESPHome, or go to the add-on section in Home Assistant, open the store, and add the ESPHome add-on. After it installs, check all the boxes and start ESPHome. ESPHome will appear in the sidebar of Home Assistant, and you can click it to see the empty dashboard. All right, so now that you have the ESPHome dashboard installed, next we're going to set up an ESP32 and flash it with the ESPHome software so we can control it with Home Assistant. Since there are literally hundreds of different things you can connect to an ESP32 and control with ESPHome, I'm just going to keep it simple. Today, we're going to set up ESPHome to control a single LED. This keeps it simple so you can see all the steps, but we also don't get lost in the weeds of setting up some complicated accessory. First, using the USB port on the ESP32, plug the device into your computer. Note that you don't necessarily need to connect the device into the computer that's running ESPHome. As long as you can load the dashboard using HTTPS, you can flash the ESP32 from any computer with a USB port. Next, click the green button in the corner to add a device. ESPHome is going to ask you what to name the device. For this demo, I'm calling the device Test. Next, ESPHome will tell you to connect your device with a USB cable. If you already did this, you're good. Just click Connect. One note here, make sure your USB cable actually supports data. Some cables are power cables only, and they're not going to work here. Okay, right after clicking Connect, a little box should pop up asking you what device to connect to. You should choose the USB to UART bridge controller or something similar. It'll look like that. Then click Connect. As soon as you do that, go back to the ESP32 device itself, press and hold the boot button on the device. Keep holding it until ESPHome dashboard shows preparing installation on the screen. At that point, let go of the button and just wait for the installation to complete. After it's done, you should see the device appear on the dashboard. If everything goes exactly perfectly, it should say that it's online. Now, real quick, this is another gotcha. Sometimes after installation, it'll continue to show as offline. If this happens, you may need to set the IP address in the configuration manually. Just hit the Edit button and under the Wi-Fi section, type the IP address that was assigned to the device. You can usually find the IP address by logging into your home router and looking at the list of connected devices. After you get that entered, save the file, hit Install, and choose to install with the USB cable again. This fixes the issue 99% of the time. After it says that it's online, you can disconnect the USB cable from your computer and just power the device with the cable by plugging it into power. It'll now be able to update via Wi-Fi. Finally, now that you have a connected device, figure out the configuration you need for whatever you have connected to the ESP32. Here you can see that I just copied an example from the ESPHome website and changed the pin number to match how I have mine wired. After configuring the device, install the changes, and this time you can do it via Wi-Fi. Then, and some of you won't need this, but just in case, click the three dots next to the device, click Show API Key, and copy the key. After that's done, go to the Settings section of Home Assistant and then click on Devices and Services. For most of you, it'll probably just auto-detect the ESPHome device and ask if you want to install it. If you don't get lucky, you may need to install ESPHome integration yourself. Just click the blue Add Integration button at the bottom and search for ESPHome. Install it, provide the IP address and port where ESPHome was installed, then provide the API key that you copied just a second ago. This is a one-time setup, and next time it'll auto-detect, I promise. Okay, now after you've configured your device, go to Entities at the top of the screen and search for your entity. The name of it will be the name of your ESP32 device, then the name of the entity attached to it. In my case, Test Lite. You should be able to click on the entity and control it. All right, that's the whole setup. I hope it helps you get started. Until next time, happy coding.